Hello and hi, this is Malice, and welcome back to the niw&malice channel. When it comes time for Halloween, and honestly, just October in general, I am all about the spooky looks. And I'm always looking for clothes to add to my wardrobe that will bring a little Halloween spice to an everyday look without being, a full-out costume, which is where this item comes into play. I saw this sweatshirt probably on Pinterest and immediately knew that I wanted it. I decided to make the pumpkins out of felt since I already had a bunch of autumny colors, and felt is so much easier to work with. So I'm starting out with these 4 colors. I have this black felt for the faces and the green felt for the pumpkin stems. And then I have orange felt and yellow felt. Now I tried to dye this yellow and this orange with some red dye, but as you can see, the color isn't different at all. I pretty much knew that was going to happen because dye really only works with like natural fibers like cotton, and I'm almost positive this is synthetic. So it's pretty much just yellow and orange pumpkins. I'm going to decide later whether I actually want to use the yellow. I don't know how that's going to look. I really wanted to have some color variation with the pumpkins because I know in the original there is like an orange and then like a red orange, blood orange if you will. But we'll see what we can do. All right, so I have my basic black sweatshirt here. I'm gonna do my sketch for the pumpkins on this sheet of paper and fitting them in exactly how I want them to be, because if you notice on the original design, they're all really tightly fit together, which I think is part of why it's such a nice design. So I'll do that same kind of effect on this sheet of paper, and I'll go ahead and number them and take a photo to document which order they go in, which number goes where. So I'll use the paper pieces that I cut out to cut out the felt. And I can also decide what colors I want to cut everything out of. So if I want to use some yellow or just use the orange, I can send that on this piece of paper. Okay, time to get sketching. Alright, so I have my 2 layers here. I have the black layer and that orange layer that I cut out of the orange felt. So we don't need this black layer for right now, so I'll put it aside. So here's where we're going to make our pumpkin face. And after some trial and error, I figured out some tips that if you want to do this yourself would be good. So I actually bought this X-Acto knife because the one that I had was more of an angle like this, like less of a sharp angle. So I would definitely recommend getting an X-Acto knife with as sharp of an angle as possible. So mine is about this, which I guess is like 30 degrees maybe. So the first thing you're going to want to do is sketch your face with a disappearing marker. Of course, if you're really good at it, you could just wing it, but I'm definitely not. So I'm basing all of mine faces off of the faces in the original. So mine is some smallish triangle eyes. And then again, a smallish triangle nose. This is a pretty classic jack-o'-lantern face, with 1 tooth missing. The first time I tried to cut out a face, I sort of went like like this, but that's definitely not the way to do it with felt. You definitely need to make one clean line by pressing as hard as you can, and don't plan to go back and redo anything because it's really hard to cut off other parts once you've already done it. So you can put one finger really close to where you're cutting as long as you can not cut your finger. and just so you can see on the back the shape was completely cut out. So I can go ahead and pop this little piece out. Ta-da! Beautiful, stunning. And there you have a full pumpkin face. And you can still see the disappearing marker kind of along the edges of the lines, but here's one I cut a few days ago, and you can see all the lines have already disappeared. So here's the pumpkin face we cut out, and then when you put the black piece behind, it makes that classic jack-o'-lantern face. And then do this about 20 more times. When you're finished cutting out all of the faces, you're going to want to stitch at least around the eye and mouth holes, which will help make the patch more sturdy, and it'll hold the orange and black pieces together while you're attaching them to the sweatshirt. Ile to masz? To co masz? Masz? No co masz? Okay, well, now that I have been recording for 18 minutes, okay. Pass. Okay, so I finished all the pumpkins. These are all stitched together and they all have their little stems. And all the text is finished, happy and Halloween. And I drew this kind of like grid-like pattern to make sure that it would be centered, which is what this line is here. So all of the central pumpkins I placed on that line. So I drew these lines and tried on the sweatshirt because I wanted to see what placement would be best. And I found that about halfway between this line and this line, and the topmost one at the very top line is what works best for me. And if you look at the original picture, you can see it's actually kind of far down. I know my pumpkins ended up being a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be, I think. I think they're supposed to be at least a half size bigger, but definitely not doing it again. So this is just gonna have to be good enough. So last step is to go ahead and hand stitch all of these pumpkins onto the sweatshirt. I could probably use the machine, but I want the control of doing it one by one, hand sewing. So that's the last step. See you in the reveal. For Halloween Day, we headed across the city to Seoul Forest. The weather was absolutely perfect for a picnic in my jack-o'-lantern sweatshirt, and we had a great time chatting, snacking, and watching the gorgeous fall colors. Seoul Forest is easily accessible on the subway line and is in the middle of the city, so if you're ever in Seoul and tired of the hustle and bustle of the city, it's the perfect place to go. I packed some jack-o'-lantern grilled cheese sandwiches, a caramel scone, hot spiced apple cider in a thermos, a Halloween-y trail mix, and some candy I got from some of my students during our Halloween party. I was honestly so excited to use my new picnic basket. I've been looking for an excuse to use it. That's pretty much a wrap on the jack-o'-lantern sweatshirt. If you decide to make this yourself, don't hesitate to comment or to message us on Instagram with questions, or just to show us what you made. Until next time. No!